What was that? What? What's that sound? Where? It's aliens and they're living in your town. Damn. They have arrived. What? They're all around. So many aliens living in your town.
Hello, weirdos out there in Weirdo Land. How the heck is everybody doing?
Doing well.
Let's get right into it. Beckett's not here. He's running late, so he gets his name on the board.
To be fair, he sent an email.
Yeah, he did.
But he is running late today, so he probably won't be here for another 10 minutes, I'd say.
This is the Weird and Whatever podcast. We talk about paranormal stuff. What else would you say we talk about, Vicky?
Anything that comes out of our mouths.
That's the whatever part.
Yep.
We talk a lot about the grim future of humanity.
We do talk a lot about how the robots are winning.
Well, I mean, we're giving them even more power. I think they just created a robot that is living off of cells.
Yeah, I mean, before we do doom and gloom, let's get the holidays out of the way.
All right.
Happy International Kangaroo Care Awareness Day.
Kangaroo care awareness.
I mean,
just to not neglect a kangaroo if you do have one as a pet.
And this is international, baby. This goes across the globe.
Well, does any other countries besides Australia have kangaroos?
I know Vanilla Ice had one at one point. Does that count?
So I would say people have probably imported, exported them, but are they indigenous to anywhere else besides? Because I feel like Australia's got a ton of really jacked up animals.
Mm-hmm.
I still always bring up, and I know it's kind of hack, but I'm still just amazed by that one video when that kangaroo is holding that. It's a dog, right?
It's so good.
And this kangaroo is. Have you ever seen this, Vicky?
I don't think so.
Oh my gosh, this jacked up kangaroo is pretty much got this dog in a headlock.
He's holding this guy's dog in a headlock, and the guy jumps out of his truck, runs up, puts his fist up, and punches the kangaroo right in the face. The kangaroo gets stunned, lets go of the dog, and they run off.
If Beckett was here, as a research guy, he could pull it up.
Yes, he could.
He did send an email, though.
He did.
He sent an email.
So we can't really get too much on him.
It's also National Chocolate Chip Day. We talked about this on the morning show. Let's go real quick. In your opinion, who's got the best chocolate chip cookie?
I mean, I guess you have to throw at least a card into the hat for Otis Spunkmeyer. Right? Like, Otis Spunkmeyer's got some pretty solid cookies. You get 2 in a pack.
Are those the... Those aren't... Oh, yeah, okay.
Otis Spunkmeyer, they're really good if you microwave them for just 5 seconds. Just enough to get it gooey.
Okay, so you're going with that's your top for chocolate chip.
I do like a Spunkmeyer.
Denny's, I'm looking at Spunkmeyer right now, and I'm not... Can you do me a favor? Can you respect the game and take it a little bit more seriously? Spunkmeyer comes in at number 1 for you?
Yeah, I mean, I spent a lot of time with Spunkmeyer as a kid. In my adulthood, I don't necessarily eat as many cookies. I did a lot of work on the front end.
All right, so, I'm looking at...
All right, just somebody's calling me old in the chat room. Is that really an old cookie, Spunkmeyer? All right, well, what's yours, Bird?
It doesn't. First of all, it sounds disgusting in today's terms. Spunkmeyer. Good gosh, you're not Kevin. Good gosh, Denny's. No, look, I'm only busting your balls. I'm sure if I had some Spunkmeyers here, I'd be all over those things.
I'm gonna hunt them down just so you can, experience the magic.
I think Jersey Mike's has really great chocolate chip cookies.
They do.
I think Panera's got good chocolate chip cookies. And I think Subway's got good chocolate chip cookies. Sue me.
So Subway's got good peanut butter cookies, too.
And oatmeal raisin.
Because you can get the 3 for $10 or whatever. I don't even know what it is now, I'm sure.
Vicky ain't lying. I don't want her comment to go unnoticed. They got great oatmeal cookies in there.
They are. Oatmeal cookies can go so wrong, too, so.
Okay, let's see what the people are saying. Damn, Denny's, you sound old AF. Spunkmeyer. No one eats that shit no more.
Whatever.
Next comment. What is this, the Great Depression, Denny's? Damn, they're coming for you.
Whatever.
And the other holiday, National Hamburger Month.
Oh, okay.
We're cheeseburger people here, Vicky.
All right, I'm with you.
Yeah, cheeseburgers are so good.
So we like to always open up the show with the weird holidays because they're pretty stupid.
Well, so I think it's also Dental Month.
What?
Yeah, like Dental Awareness Month. Sorry, I misspoke originally. I think it's, but even more specific and odd.
Yeah, well, they like to. There's been many times I've gone to the dentist and they've given me candy as I've left, and I always thought that was kind of weird. Kind of like a certain gym.
They're like, enjoy that. We'll see you later.
After the workout, they gave you a donut. I'm like, huh. Don't know if all right. Yesterday we were knocked off the air, Vicky.
Oh yeah.
People said if you tuned into the radio, we sounded like robots. Correct, Denny's?
It was bad. I would put it in the unlistenable category. It sounded like a digitalized skipping CD.
So this story dropped earlier. Does this have anything to do with it? Call me stupid. Powerful solar flares disrupted radio signals across the globe, and experts warn more could be coming as a large sunspot turns towards Earth. It could affect GPS, satellites, power grids in the days ahead. Is that what happened?
Probably even Wi-Fi, because anything that's on a frequency band, which Wi-Fi is on like what, 811.22 or whatever. So I mean, anything that has a frequency band would be affected by that. Plus, I think solar flares can also kill us.
Oh,
I think that's what they worry about, those things going off.
I guess we're not talking about National Hamburger Month no more.
Do you want the audio for that?
Yes.
We kind of
she gets a little long-winded, so you'll get a natural.
I cut her off a little bit.
This year, but issues flaring up back on Earth. Shortwave radio blackouts have been reported on 5 different continents. A NOAA forecaster says the flare today occurred as the sun was over the Middle East, adding to the disruptions.
So there's an 11-year solar cycle, and right now we're kind of at the peak of one of those cycles of activity.
Scientists say the geomagnetic storms are caused by massive flares of plasma from the sun, specifically sunspots.
The X-rays that are coming out of those flares are actually striking a layer of our Earth's atmosphere that we bounce radio waves off of. And it's actually deforming that layer and causing a lot of disruptions.
That guy's got smart voice.
Oh, he does. He knows what he's talking about.
The only thing worse than sunspots or liver spots. Can I get an amen?
Amen.
Yeah, I wonder if that had anything to do with it.
It very much could be. I know that gear they had to swap out. It's right now. It's on a separate piece of gear.
Well, we take that seriously, Vicky, because when that happens, that affects our ratings and all that stuff.
Absolutely. Now, was that only yesterday, or was there anything going on Tuesday?
No, that was yesterday, and this story that I'm reading dropped like 9 hours ago.
Okay, because I was going to Orlando, and multiple times I lost signal to my GPS, and that usually doesn't happen with my carrier. It just doesn't happen, and it happened more than once.
That's funny. I was driving, and again, I wasn't even thinking about it. I was driving, and I lost phone signal for 30 seconds to where I was like, well, this is weird. And then I saw the thing pop back up, and Verizon or whatever. So it's kind of odd that you mentioned that, because I didn't even think anything at the time.
Did Nancy Drew and the Dickey Boys just figure this whole thing out?
I think we did.
I think we did. They're formatting. They're getting ready to strike, and I'm talking about the aliens, Denny's.
Well, so I guess if it was extreme enough, it could take out even more than radio. If it's only interfering with radio, it could interfere with so much. Yeah, it was bizarre. It was kind of a weird day. Anytime there's a hiccup like that, it makes broadcasting a bit challenging. I typed the same message so many times. Oh, I caught. Yeah, I saw yours in the chat room. Well, then I was just being a dick, and I was just doing it every 2 seconds. I was having fun though. Well, I mean, dude, we had a lot of text coming in about that. I want to talk about this, Vicky. Well, this will lead into our Ask Vicky segment. Now, you know who Annabelle is, the doll? Yep. Now, there's a video going around, and it looks like it's real, but who knows in these days of trick talk. Annabelle's being transported to the French Quarter in New Orleans. Really? That's where they're bringing it? And there's a Catholic priest doing prayers and trying to keep her contained. Now, what are your thoughts on this when it comes to Annabelle and dolls being haunted? Well, is this much go on? Well, I'm just saying it's weird that they're moving her to a place that's considered an area where there would be a lot of magic and things of that nature. So is she out of the Warren Museum then? I guess or did Zach buy her? Zach Morris. Zach Bagans. Oh, they're just so I don't know if Zach bought her. That's the only time, because everybody knows that is not somebody that I like. I do not respect him as in the paranormal field. But the Warrens' son-in-law had Annabelle. He was wearing gloves. And I guess Zach was supposed to hand them to Zach, but what he did is he threw her at Zach. So he didn't have a chance. He threw it before he could get his gloves or whatever. So he made direct contact with the Annabelle doll. I mean, if you... Listen, there's a whole bunch of people that believe it. There's a whole bunch of people that don't believe it.
Did you show the video of it? Did I send you a video?
No, I got like just the part where he's like praying over it.
Do you believe in that stuff? Okay, for example, I've got this wizard statue or wizard. What would you call that, Denny? Is a wizard? Those animatronic type of things, and they've got Michael Myers behind you, Vicky. Do you believe that those could become possessed like a doll?
I mean, a lot of people do believe that they can. It could be any kind of entity that would want to interact. All I know from personal experience, years ago, my sister bought a doll, and that doll was creepy. That doll would move her head in a locked case, and there was no explanation as to why. It wasn't like her neck was unstable. It wasn't like she shifted, but she literally, you'd go and she would have turned her head in a different direction. So I didn't totally believe in that stuff until, I came in contact with this doll. And one time she had the doll locked up in a bedroom, and she had some animals in the bedroom. She hears the most horrible commotion from these animals. And it was like they were, like going nuts. And when she went in, the doll was in a different position, but it didn't look like the cats had moved it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It would have been impossible for the cats to have lifted the doll off the top of the dresser, carried her over to the bed, and had her sitting on the bed looking at everybody.
Unless you didn't know your cats were pranky behind your back. Did you have pranky cats?
Yeah.
You just didn't know.
Those damn cats.
Those rascals. I know no one's going to give a frog's fat ass, but I have to say it. There is a classic Twilight Zone episode that really deals with possessed dolls. It is called The Living Doll. You can also type in Talkie Tina. It's a very good episode. I highly recommend it. All right, I'll shut the F up now. But let's get into some Ask Vicky. Vicky is our paranormal expert here on the show. She also, she's our psychic medium, and we need a little theme music, Denny's. Give us some Ask Vicky. How did Birds Walk Through go today? Everyone always wants to know. Okay. And you don't have to go too deep into it, especially if it's a lot of the same.
Yeah. No, most of it was fine, except for when I went into the main living space, and like the whole atmosphere changed once I got into there. Like I had all this pressure in my ears. It was almost like, that feeling when you're underwater.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I didn't like it in there. I got out of there.
Okay, so you would rate my ghost activity out of 1 out of 10, because Kevin's going to ask me tomorrow in the morning. Out of a 10 being very active.
That particular room, I would give it an 8.
Whoa, Denny's.
Yeah. The rest of the house, it was flatlined.
It was Luke, huh?
We got live up in there.
So that one room, what would be the reason?
That's where I stay. That's where I do all my work.
That's where you're central.
That's where I've been central living at. That's where they'll get my attention. I told you I was sleeping, and something. I mean, it sounded like the thunder of God woke me up. Something fell during I was sleeping. It scared the hell out of me.
Oh my gosh!
And I was trying to figure out what it was, and it was my clown it doll, and I didn't realize how close it was to where it fell by me, but it took me a while to realize it was the clown doll. And I'm working on a project right now with clowns, so I thought that was kind of odd.
Yeah.
It's like eventually we all end up down here, Bird.
Yeah. We all float down here, Bird.
And it's not like there's not another million other objects that could have fallen. It was specifically the clown.
And I think I only have one Pennywise up in here, right?
I only know of the one.
Thank you, Denny's. Vicky, do churches, graveyards, morgues, do they have a higher spirit volume than your average places?
A lot of people think that cemeteries actually don't, because there's no reason for a spirit to hang around their dead body. Usually they'll hang around, places where they used to live or their loved ones or something like that. I guess it just depends on the location. Have I come across spirits in a graveyard? Absolutely. But sometimes it's just an extreme case. There's this one cemetery out. I don't remember where it's at, but first of all, they have mosquitoes, like 20-pound mosquitoes out there. But they have a mass grave for the victims of hurricane that had come through. And that is a particularly active
So that would
cemetery.
make sense, though, because they're not necessarily resting in peace.
Right. And also you got to figure this was back in the days when it's not like you had a news flash every 5 seconds telling you that this hurricane's coming and that, all this is going to happen. So that place is particularly haunted. And I've actually had some experiences out at the Catholic cemetery off of Southern. And there's like two sections. There's like an older section with a lot of big trees, and then there's a newer section that has like the mausoleums and stuff like that. That older section definitely has a completely different feel.
Do you ever see an area where you almost kind of see different generations crossing over, where you would see maybe, let's say, a younger kid passed on recently and is at, let's say, the graveyard, for example, and then you'll see an 1890s man smoking his pipe, and they're crossing and seeing each other and interacting, and do they know they're from different generations, or
they
know they're
could.
dead?
Yeah, but like I said, there are haunted cemeteries, but it's very rare because you don't hang around. Now, there is an author who wrote a book, and she does talk about that certain spirits, when they pass away, they might be confused and they think their loved ones are going to come for them, like they're still alive, or they think their relative is going to come and visit them at the cemetery, and they actually hang out there in hopes of seeing instead of traveling to where that loved one is.
What about morgues?
Morgues, I mean, you'd have to ask my daughter since she's actually has recent experience with morgues.
But again, bodies are brought there. There's nothing.
Yeah.
There a lot of times they weren't, something tragic didn't happen there.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to yell at me, Denny's.
Well, I'd say so. Mass graves probably ripe for haunting.
Well, that's why I think people get it confused. They think graveyard, death. The family thing does make sense, thinking the family would show up. But are you talking more like a war scene?
So like you said, with the hurricane, a bunch of people die, get thrown in one mass grave. That's right for haunting. I'd say under churches probably too, right? Then they used to have catacombs, and that's where they kept a lot of bodies.
Yeah, and the Huguenot Cemetery in St. Augustine also mass graves from yellow fever. So those bodies were they dug a big hole and just threw them all in there.
If we said, Vicky, this weekend we want to go to without a doubt, the most haunted area where you really feel like you're going to get the most, other than my house, of course, the most ghostly experience, where would you go to say, y'all might see some stuff?
Well, after your house would be my friend Liz's house, since we can't do that.
Well, I wouldn't be ranked number one to you, would I?
Liz's house probably beats yours because we consistently get really off the chain Class A EVPs.
Well, I must beat her. I want the number one slot.
You don't have the most hauntings, Bird?
Damn it. Who is this, Liz?
I actually use her house for training because if somebody doesn't run at her house, and you're more likely to get an EVP at her house than you are here. Sorry.
No, I'm obsessed. Where's that Ouija board?
Damn, that lady's got so much activity.
Oh, my gosh. Now you're rubbing it in my face, Denny's.
But that one cemetery that I talked about, it's off the top of my head, it's way out west. It's pretty consistent with activity.
Do cemeteries creep you out?
No.
I wasn't done with a man running through it with an axe.
No.
Is he alive or is he a ghost?
He's alive.
Oh, well, yeah, the axe
All
part,
right.
yeah.
I just want to see where the line was at. Would you be creeped out if you had to spend the night in a graveyard, Denny's? Can you do it?
Yeah, I don't think cemeteries creep me out that much. I think they're kind of cool, honestly.
I think a morgue would be freaky.
Morgue would be freakier. A insane asylum that's abandoned would be freakier.
Waverly.
Yeah, a place like that, I feel like that has traumatic events, horrific things, secret experimentations, stuff of that nature is going to be way more ripe for a haunting, way more activity, I'd imagine.
Here's a question. It was kind of a lengthy email, so it's kind of cut down here. It's basically just to give you a bit of a backstory. This person believes that there's a ghost with them that never leaves their side, even through travel, so it just basically says, can a ghost never leave your side? If you go on vacation, is it possible that the ghost travels with you? Is this a common thing, or does it rarely happen? I feel like I'm going through this.
Most people don't have an attachment that's going to be with them and make their presence known that consistently. My question would be, maybe they're mistaking a spirit guide for a ghost or an attachment.
Well, if you don't mind, what's the difference between a ghost and a spirit guide?
Spirit guides are, every single one of us have spirit guides. We usually have multiple ones. They're basically just assigned to us to try to keep us on the right path or whatever. Throughout our lives, our spirit guides may change depending on our needs. Some people can feel their spirit guides. Even though I'm a psychic medium, I don't feel my spirit guides. Some people can. So if this person, they may be picking up on a spirit guide and that's why they're with them all the time, because the spirit guide is there, kind of like, when you go bowling and they put those little bumper pad things so you don't go in the gutter. That's kind of what your spirit guides do. They constantly making sure that you're not going too far off the rails.
You wonder why some people see him or feel him or would say they believe in a spirit guide, and then other people go, Vicky, what the hell are you talking about? I've never experienced nothing like that. There's no one guiding us other than our own free will. Why do you think some people have it, some people don't? Some people think traumatic events in childhood is connected.
Well, all of us have spirit guides, whether we acknowledge. Like I just said, I don't know who mine are. I have no clue. Anytime I've had readings where people have told me what my spirit guides look like. I mean, for a while, I had this Abraham Lincoln looking guy that was with me a lot. And then I had this redheaded guy from England at some point. I personally have never felt my spirit guides. I have no clue who they are. So I'm a good example. I have ability, yet I don't know who my spirit guides are, but I do believe everyone has them.
Could you argue this, and I mean no disrespect to the spirit guides, if a spirit guide's trying to help you and they just can't get your attention, are they kind of a shitty spirit guide?
It's not that. It's part of our intuition. They work so that we think that maybe it's our brain that's telling us to, you shouldn't go left, you need to go right, or something like that. Or just being there to comfort you through really hard times. And so you don't necessarily know that it's them.
It happens, so you just think it could be your own free will, but it's actually something guiding you.
Yeah.
Very good. Next question here. Where are the angels in the pecking order of spirit? Is an angel considered higher on the spirit chain as, say, an elemental, or does it not even look that way? People still get very confused. I get a lot of emails about elementals, and I know you've explained it a lot. Everyone tends to think that they're monsters. They're monster ghosts, basically.
No.
They sound like creatures. They sound like, or a gnome, or a mystical beast of sorts.
Yeah, they're not. Spirit guides, at one point they were acknowledged by every single culture. And then all of a sudden people started to get logical and they started veering away from it. So they did become disgruntled because they were the big shit at some point.
The spirit guides did.
The elementals.
Or elementals.
So they thought they were the big, they were in charge and people worshiped them. They gave them offerings and stuff. And then all of a sudden, most cultures, they got rid of them. They didn't. Except for Ireland, you'll still see the little saucers of milk and stuff like that. So at that point, if you were being ignored, wouldn't you get a little pissy? And so that's what's happened to them, is that they become a little disgruntled. So that's why the easiest thing to do when you come across a nature spirit is to acknowledge it, give it a little offering, whatever you think. They like shiny things, whatever. If you, especially because they're in charge of nature, like if you have cut down like a bunch of trees and stuff, that's really going to upset them because you've just changed the balance of nature. Shit. So the best thing you can do in that case, like say you cleared off a piece of land to make a house, you're going to go and look and see what is natural to the area, and you're going to start replanting things in their honor. So when you replant them, you say, this is for you. I'm sorry they had to cut down such and such or whatever, and you start replanting things for them.
Well,
Didn't you just cut down a bunch of vegetation?
I just ripped out a quarter of my land, as you say. But I'm making a memorial.
And grass.
Yeah, yeah, and grass.
There you go again.
I took out part. I'm making a memorial garden, and it's a rock garden. So they're really. I mean, I'm honoring dead people, so that's cool. They should respect that, right?
Just add some little element that might be important to them.
Okay, I will.
You got to reintroduce some stuff.
Yeah.
To your new memorial garden.
Yes.
Thanks, Denny's. I don't know why you're laughing. You're going to be the one helping me. All right, put on the list. Get Elemental some more presents. And, all right. Well, very good, Vicky. Very, very good stuff.
So I think Beckett texts that he's at the traffic. He's at the light. Traffic was nuts.
Oh, I know.
Same excuse every single time.
Here we got this one. This was kind of a weird one. Dear Weird Whatever, I keep dreaming about a girl named Chelsea who shows me flashes of the woods, a rusted bike, and a necklace with Tammy on it. Turns out Chelsea K was a real teen who vanished in 1987. Some of what I saw matches details from the crime scene that were never made public. I know this because I contacted the police and they told me that nobody had the details that I had. That's why they took my story seriously. Then I told them about the dreams. They quickly dismissed me after that. I think she's trying to tell me something, and I don't know why she picked me. Linda from Loxahatchee. Now, I don't know if the case was from Palm Beach County.
Okay.
I can't speak upon that. She didn't put that in the email.
Well, the thing is, if somebody has made their presence known in that way, for whatever reason you're special and you were given that information, if the police are not taking you seriously, I mean, as carefully as possible, follow up on something yourself.
Could it be you're subconsciously having a memory of something you've seen before?
Not if she knew details about the case that nobody else knew.
The other thing I find kind of weird about that email, and I'm not trying to call her out, but would the police tell the person if let's say I had details about something, would they go, no one else has details like that, thank you for telling us that, or would they kind of keep that close to the vest?
But I think that's pretty vague saying it that way. It's not like they said, oh, well, nobody knew that she was driving a red car right before she disappeared. That's more specific. So for them to just say, well, nobody knew those details. I mean, I would have been worried about looking, like a suspect at that point
Like
because I knew too much,
I mean, Denny, we've got, vanishing. We've got a girl named Chelsea, nightmares, dreams, visions, thoughts, opinions here.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't think the police don't tell you anything. Just because I know my dad went through this, like he had to really bother them, and he got so little details from them. He had to do his own research. Because they don't want you interfering with anything.
Mm-hmm. So it depends on how old the case is too.
She could have wrote it just odd. She could have just paraphrased it, making it sound like that.
She said 1987 there was a case.
Okay.
Now, just because the girl's name was Chelsea K, and there was a Chelsea K that was missing from that time, doesn't necessarily mean it's her. Could be a coincidence.
Right.
She could have saw a special that was, Kelsey J.
Well, there's just so much murder on everything on TikTok. On every murder is hotter than ever.
It's hot right now.
It's hot right now as far as content, and you wonder, did you subconsciously? I don't know.
Yeah, but still, I mean, if what she said is true and there were details that weren't made public, then that could have more of a legitimate stand, in which case you have a responsibility, I feel, to see if you can figure it out.
Well, look what the cat drug in.
Sorry, duty calls, guys.
Apologize. Man becomes a doctor and thinks the podcast starts whenever.
I did just graduate. Did you guys see that?
Oh, yeah, I liked your post.
Oh, thank you.
Congratulations, Beckett. Dr. Beckett.
Thank you.
Yes, we're just talking about a woman who's having dreams of a vanishing woman that she didn't know. This woman who vanished is showing up in her dreams, almost giving her clues, if you will.
I don't want to ruin the segment, but I've been...
But don't worry, you already did.
Sorry. I'm good for that. So I told you my psychologist does dream analysis, so I started asking ChatGPT about my dreams and dream analysis. And actually, they do a similar kind of thing. And it's actually mind-blowing about the dream analysis on what it does.
So AI probably has pretty good dream analysis because it probably pulls from everything that's ever done it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not sure how I feel about dream analysis. I think it's kind of one of those things where it's very vague. Let me get you're naked and you're running through school or you're running through your job. You're clearly worried. Something's on your mind. You're feeling insecure. I mean, it's almost kind of
like horoscopy where it's so vague it could possibly...
I feel like you could bullshit your way through a dream analysis.
I'm going to piss a lot of people off. I think there's way more validity than horoscopes. And
I would agree.
And here's why. What I think I said, my psychologist said, is like it's the condensation of the subconscious. So your brain in REM sleep is like reshuffling things. And, I would call BS maybe on some things, but there's a lot of through lines on what they say. Like, oh, there was someone that was trying to break in. They're like, well, you're having something financial and you're worried about not having control of that. I'm like, yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense, right?
Well, I'd say dream analysis has to be important because you spend half your life sleeping.
That's right.
You know, so it has to be an important part of your cycle.
Some of us do.
I read that Tibetan Book of the Dead, and in Tibet they think that there's 3 states: awake state, sleep state, and meditative state. They say all 3 are equally as important.
I think there's something to that. I know when I can legit get the amount of sleep that I need to function, I'm a different human being. I just am. I think the sleep state is so important. I think we still haven't even scratched the surface of what dreaming and sleeping and all of that even means or what the potential of all that stuff is. And I think meditative state is something everybody on the planet needs, but I feel like it takes work to do, to be in a meditative state.
It reminds me of what you've said about the ocean. Like, there's so much that we've explored of space, but there's so much we don't even know about
our own planet.
The own planet, the deep depths of the ocean. I think that's like the subconscious in the brain for sure.
Oh, I think the ocean is just riddled with secrets and just mystery that one day, hopefully, we will find out, Denny's.
Yeah.
It's a fluid situation.
I mean, that didn't take long. It didn't take long.
Didn't take long.
We have another one. This is very probably Vicky central here. Dear Weird Whatever, my son Liam has predicted 3 things in the last month. A crow crashing into our window right before exactly it did. His dad breaking a blue bowl that hadn't been touched in weeks. One day before it happened, he called this. My husband didn't even hear him say it, so it wasn't like it was in my husband's subconscious. And then he predicted a school fire with no injuries 2 days before it happened. He says these visions just come. Is this a gift, a warning? What should I do? He is 7 years old.
He's 7. So give it a few more months. If they keep up, then he definitely has a gift. Probably precognition is one of the scarier ones. To know what's going to happen. And
Minority Report.
Yeah, it runs in my family. Thank goodness I don't have that particular gift.
But what's a good, because, I mean, again, the naysayers are going to say, all right, what did you predict? Is it going to be some kind of abstract prediction, or did somebody really have a...
Well, that sounds pretty specific.
That does sound very, I mean, especially if you, hey, I think a bird's going to crash
There's
into
a bird
the window.
Hit the window.
Whoop, boom. I would be, ugh.
The blue bowl, I mean, that's very specific.
But, again, we can't vet this. This could be
Well, you would do like a science experiment. You would see how often you'd write down anytime he comes up with something, and you check his accuracy, just like you would if it were a science fair project.
Are there any cases across the globe throughout history where someone legit made a spot-on prediction through a premonition where they go, holy shit, it's a slam dunk, you can't argue it?
Nostradamus had a lot of things that are pretty, I mean, the reason we know about him is like it's pretty freaky.
I've heard people argue the other end on that.
Really?
Yeah, well, just, I mean, because...
He's probably the most famous predictor, though.
Yeah.
I hear about him a lot.
Yeah, I have too. He got a lot wrong as well. No one bats 1,000. And I am not trying to be combative. I just know that there's another side to people like, there's no way, and this is why.
Right.
But would you say probably the number one?
Damn, you hate Nostradamus.
He predicted that.
It's like some guy's going to call me out.
Yeah.
It's like some dipshit on some shitty podcast.
Well, remember back in the day, what was it, National Enquirer, that Jeannie Dixon, that psychic, used to make her predictions for the whole year or whatever? I don't think she had a very good average, honestly.
That's such a tough shot to call.
Well, what was the woman on that was teamed up with Montel Williams?
Sylvia, right?
Sylvia Brown had some shitty performances
Yeah.
too. There's a few. Now, if you don't know who Sylvia Brown was, she was a big time psychic, and there are some really cringy montages of her getting it just so wrong, and the arrogance of her being so, oh no, that your daughter's dead, honey. You're not going to find the daughter, and then they found the daughter.
Oh my God.
Right.
Yeah,
Oh, it's terrible.
There's some shitty predictions she made and made some families go through hell with what she told them.
If you have a gift, if I'm not debating whether she had one or not, but you always have to say that you could be wrong. Like everybody knows who's had a reading. I'm going to say, take what I say with a grain of salt. I don't pretend like I know everything. I don't try to convince anybody of what I've said. I said, well, this is what I see. I could be wrong. This could happen, blah, blah, blah. But if you're not humble, she wasn't humble.
Yeah, you're right.
That's the problem.
Well, this gives me some mental clarity. Imagine someone like that's a medium or a psychic. Imagine thinking about them as a meteorologist. Right? I mean, that's rooted in science. Like, there's a lot of facts, of course, based on it. We depend on it for hurricanes and tornadoes and things like that. You know, you wake up one day and you say, oh, there's 50-50 chance of rain. Either way, they're right. Right? And if it rains, they're not wrong. And if it doesn't, they're not wrong. Like, you know, they go to school for it. They study it. It's something that's very important, but they're not going to be right all the time. And I think if we're going to let that happen with meteorologists, I think we should allow that to happen for mediums.
I'm old school when it comes to how I get my weather. Look out the window. But I think it's. I've always found it quite interesting the whole premonition type of thing. I remember they used to run a commercial back in the 80s where I think it was for the Encyclopedia Britannica, and that one nerdy guy would come on and he tells a story of these are some of the crazy stories you're going to get here that always talk about premonitions and all this kind of weird shit.
Yeah. I mean, my sister, she dreamed, she had a boyfriend, this is in the 70s, she dreamed that he was going to get hit by a truck while changing a tire on the side of the highway, and maybe 3-4 days after that, he got hit by a truck while changing his tire on the side of the highway.
Did he pass?
Yes, he did.
Oh, that's rough.
Yeah, and he actually appeared on the day of his funeral, I think it was. She was in an apartment at the time, and I think he actually appeared. But the way she knew it was him, but he was actually already in like decomposition, which he shouldn't have been.
What does that mean?
Like he was all decomposed, and he was just like this, monster-looking thing. But she knew it was him. But he shouldn't have been in that state because he hasn't been buried yet or anything.
What would make him into that state?
I don't know if it was just like that was just the way that she had to visualize him or whatever, but she knew it was him. But she predicted it. It happened maybe 3 or 4 days because she had a dream.
Damn.
Dennis, what are your thoughts about this?
That sucks if somebody tells you that, oh man, you might die by truck. You're like, yeah, whatever, and then it happens.
Yeah. I mean, she told him to be careful. And next thing, and this is before, phones or whatever. You didn't have a phone with you.
Yeah. And
his tire blew. He pulled over on the shoulder, and a truck came and...
I would have, in that moment, been like, oh my gosh. Right? Like, I would have recognized.
Yeah.
AAA.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is the right time for jokes, Beckett.
Sorry. Too soon.
No, I was just saying, like, if someone's gonna predict you're gonna die, like, on doing something, I'm not gonna do it.
Yeah.
Well, that's exactly the point I'm making. Like, if somebody said, "Oh, you're gonna die by fire" or something like that, if I saw a fire, I'd be on high alert.
Oh, there was
just in case.
There was somebody who emailed into the show, and this woman who emailed, she said she was shopping at the grocery store. A little kid walked up to her and just pointed, and said, "You're gonna die," and then walked away. I mean, that would rattle me.
Oh my god!
Because
I hope that kid's wrong.
You think I'm not going out tonight?
Well, yeah.
I think I'm going to stay home. But then if you stay home, does that mean the ceiling fan's gonna
the gas leaks?
Something? Yeah. No matter what, no matter where I go, the Grim Reaper's gonna get you. It's Final Destination.
Which I think there's a new one coming out.
Yes,
I'm not shocked.
I think I asked the kid a follow-up question.
Yeah, I'd be like, "What are your credentials?"
Yeah, and where? How?
I'd be like, "We're all gonna die, you little shit." Now get out of my face.
Yeah. Move. You're blocking the fucking Totinos. Okay, let's see what else we got here. What's our opinion on Mothman?
Mothman.
Cometh?
There was the the incident, right, with a bridge. That's the origin of Mothman.
Yeah,
right,
so
with the bridge. Well, he was spotted prior to the bridge collapse.
And then I guess the folklore around him is that he appears at other natural disasters or other disastrous events, right?
Yeah, that's what they claim.
Well,
There's even like some probably made up photos when the Twin Towers were hit of a Mothman type creature that somebody probably photoshopped in there.
I mean, I would go definitely. Probably.
Oh, yeah, on the internet, of course.
It says, this is from George the Chucker, and I apologize if you did hear this earlier on the KVJ show. I wanted to get your guys' opinions real quick. I'm a trucker who was driving through Westfield, Virginia a couple weeks ago. I encountered a massive winged figure with glowing red eyes perched on an old bridge. The air felt electric, and since then, I have been plagued by nightmares. They also go on to say they saw it fly away. They've been plagued by nightmares of visions of disasters. Now, the locals, they said the Mothman is a creature of doom. I currently live in Port St. Lucie, and I still feel the effects of this Mothman sighting. My wife wants me to go to therapy. She thinks it's all in my head. I keep having strong premonitions of something tragic happening to my wife that I can't seem to shake. Like Vicky's sister. Mm-hmm. This has been going on ever since I saw that weird creature a few weeks ago. Does anyone have any advice on when someone sees something crazy and then nobody believes you? George, the trucker.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like when the Mothman sightings occurred, I mean, the people were very vocal about it. And of course, they would have been, treated like they were crazy. I mean, the only thing you can do is just tell somebody, and hopefully somebody believes you and gives you some validation. And, I mean, obviously, if something happens to his wife.
Well, I mean, I would say in our chat room today, he's on mushrooms. He was tired. The road does a funny things to a person.
He's a truck driver, right? Don't they have the legend or the urban legend for truck drivers, the black dog? When you drive long nights, they say when you start getting tired, you get visited by the black dog while driving.
Go on.
So they say, I guess it's the collective consciousness of all truck drivers, and it's an entity that haunts you. And I guess it's just an urban legend they have about staying alert while driving.
How do you know,
you can be confused with that. They made a Patrick Swayze movie about it, too.
Did George the Trucker... Did he just fucking Swayze my ass?
So I think it's a real...
Is that did he just...
It's kind of a lot similar.
The premise to... Was it Black Dog? Did he just send me the premise of Black Dog?
It's also got Meatloaf in it. But yeah, it is an
That's
urban
right,
legend.
It is a Swayze movie.
Yeah, it is.
Well, George the Trucker, let's see what the panel thinks here. Mothman, yay or nay, if we believe Vicky?
I think the original sightings, because no one has... to my knowledge, has changed a word of their testimony in all these years. There had to have been something that happened. Now, do I think it's directly responsible for the bridge collapsing? No, that was probably poor construction. But the things that those people experienced when they had this thing chasing them and them not changing their story all these years, something happened. I don't know what it was.
So you're going...
I'm going something happened. I'm not going to say it's a Mothman. I'm going to say something happened. They experienced something.
Beckett, yay or nay, Mothman?
Nay.
Nay. All right, Denny's?
So, I mean, I guess Mothman is a single event, like Vicky's saying. I think nay on both, but that one I feel like could be more than it's an actual creature that just appears during bat. I think that movie kind of hyped up that urban legend.
I'm reading the synopsis right now about it.
I'd say a lot of people probably do not believe in Mothman, though.
All right, here's another email. Dear Weird and Whatever, my name's Marty M, and I have been hanging out with this guy named Doc Brown who says he can go back in time. Wait a minute. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Let's see here. I think it might be time for some
Denny's Random Facts.
Our sweet Denny's does a great job hunting the internet, just scouring, I don't know.
I ask Jeeves. I go on Quora. I check all the spots.
Is that how you pronounce that?
I thought so, right? Quora?
Sounds good to me.
Quora.
But yeah, he gives us the factoids. We've learned a lot from our sweet Denny's. Vicky, our educator, she grades it. If she loves it, she gives him an A. If she doesn't really like it, she gives him an F. Denny's, the floor is yours.
So we always meet on Thursdays for this podcast. And I was just thinking, where does the term Thursday come from? And I saw, and it's derived from the phrase, a Norse phrase meaning Thor's Day. It's the day of Thor. And that's how, and actually I looked even more into it, why we have all our days named the way we do. And a lot of them, man, like the 7-week calendar, or the 7-day-a-week calendar was established all the way back at 321 CE, current era. So that's when they made it mandatory to have the 7 days, but it actually dates all the way back to 2300 BC before Christ. They established it back in Babylonia. That's when they came up with the 7-day calendar. We've been rolling with that ever since then.
Whoa, Vicky.
It's
7
weird.
days.
Are you gonna
So it's
tell me
based
what each
on,
one means?
It's based on the 5 planets that they could see with the naked eye, the sun and the moon. That's where we base the 7 days off of, is that algorithm. And so Sunday stands for the sun god, which everyone worshipped back then as the main god, which eventually got turned into the Lord's Day because we just considered, back then they thought the sun was God. And then it became just, the sun became its own entity and became the Lord's Day. And then Monday's Luna's Day. It's just the German derivative term of moon, which is Monday or whatever, is how they got the term Monday. And then Mars Day, which the German translation was Tues instead of Mars, and we got Tuesday from that, and that was the day of war. And then Wednesday was the day of commerce, which they translated to Woden, which became Wednesday. Woden's Day was what it was. And then Friday is Frigga Day, which is based on Venus, the day of love. So it's the day you're supposed to love, relax.
Pork. I mean, does it? Some things don't change, Beckett.
The Norse god was Frigga, which is where we get Friday, and then Saturday is Saturn's day, which is the god of fun and feasting.
Oh,
so Saturday is made for that, and then
it's the
Sunday is the
weekend.
day of the Lord again.
Yeah.
But they had a day pretty much designated for each thing, so you would focus on worship of that god that day. So it started with the Greek, with the planets. The Roman names, then into the Greek names, and then it slowly transitioned into the Norse names. And then when the Germans and the Norse moved over to the Americas, we kind of just adopted their terms for those days. But those days date all the way back 3,000 years before Christ.
I mean, I'm impressed, but I'm not the one you got to impress over here.
And it led into a great Craig David song. 7 days.
Give us a taste. Give us a taste, Beckett.
Met for a drink on Tuesday. We were making love on Thursday.
Then you got Monday, I feel blue. Tuesday, Wednesday.
Oh, yeah, that's another good one.
Monday. All right, Vicky, your turn to sing.
We were doing pretty good until they broke out in song.
Yeah, play Beckett.
I gotta bump it back to a B.
Damn.
I get it. The song brought it down.
It was worth it.
I'm with it.
It was worth it. I love singing with you guys.
What do you guys think of this concept? There is a place in Scottsboro, Alabama called Unclaimed Baggage Center. So if you've ever lost luggage and never claimed it, it goes to this place to be sold. It's become a pretty big tourist destination, too. They have discovered many weird items. One of their biggest claims to fame was, I guess, during the filming of the movie Labyrinth in 1997, Jim Henson used commercial planes to transport a bunch of gear, and they lost a bunch of it and then never claimed it, including dolls and puppets from the movie, which all showed up in this place and were sold through it. Oh. They ended up getting so much cool stuff that they opened up a museum in there. It's a 50,000 square foot store now that's visited by millions of people. But I guess it's a 90-day intensive search for the owner, and if you don't claim your bag within that 90 days, it finds its way to this store to be resold. And all the airlines abide by that. But then I looked into the stats. You would think they just get so much, but currently less than 0.5% of luggage is unclaimed in the United States.
People don't want to deal with it unless it's something so important.
Everyone manages to get their luggage back, more or less. Only half of 1% actually makes it to the store, which is then sorted through, and then a lot of it's sold.
It's probably still a big number, though. Half of 1%
out of
is
how
still,
many people.
You're right.
Yeah.
It's still a lot of people.
Still a lot of luggage.
It's enough to where they've gotten some weird items. They found shrunken heads. They found a bunch of space shuttle cameras. They used regular commercial flight that lost their luggage, and they lost space shuttle cameras.
Jeez, more baggage than my ex-girlfriend had.
Somebody shipped a 40-carat emerald that was
now
lost.
her baggage.
But yeah, just it's odd. So I guess they have an online store right now, but you can go check it out. If you're ever in Alabama, check this place out.
I will. I have to go to Alabama soon.
So I was reading on that same...
I do. I have to go to Alabama. I have to go see my niece.
That's right. I was reading on that same page. I guess I just didn't even know this because it was a bunch of airline facts. Pilots and co-pilots are not allowed to consume the same meal on the same flight.
Yeah.
It's because
kind of like in the movie Airplane.
Well, so that's one of the big references they make is that in the movie Airplane they get food poisoning, but they hold that still to present day. They don't allow them to eat the same meal, so they have to coordinate, and even on short flights with a snack, they don't eat the same meal for that same reason, so they don't get poisoned.
And we appreciate it.
I appreciate it.
Have you ever seen that movie, Beckett, Airplane?
Yeah, it's a long time though.
Vicky, are you a fan of that style of comedy?
Not overly.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Beckett's jokes sometimes.
What is that, like Monty Python kind of style?
It's just very slapstick, very silly.
Or it was the early days of parody.
Yeah.
Like the guy goes, that's when I discovered I had a drinking problem, and he has a drink, and he throws the drink in his face.
Yeah.
That kind of
Or
comedy.
he's like, the shit hit the fan this time, and then they throw shit into a fan.
Or like on National Lampoon. Would you like that in the can, sir? I think I have it right here.
Yeah,
That's very much that humor.
like your
evolved.
Naked Gun kind. It's a style that not
Yes.
everyone loves, but it's very goofy.
Yeah.
I think you're crushing it. Keep going. You're killing.
What do you think of this? And this kind of does sound weird, but you ever you pull up to wherever you're going and you're walking up to Publix or whatever, and you're like, oh, I like my car, and you feel, and you're holding your key, and then you're holding your arm way out trying to get the thing. There's a better way to get better signal with your key remote. They say if you hold the key to your head and press the button, it uses the moisture in your skull to amplify the signal. So if you can't reach it and it's not reaching, hold the keys to your head and then beep the button. I don't know where my keys are.
This sounds like a Virginia trick.
You would beep it like that, and it uses it's crazy, but yeah, it actually your head works as a radio, and it uses kind of like microwaves. The moisture causes the signal to amplify.
Makes you wonder, could you cook an egg on your head if it got hot enough?
They say it's perfectly safe to do. It just feels weird, but it will amplify your signal. I tested it out at work on the 5th floor, and it definitely worked.
Oh,
so.
wow, our equipment finally worked?
It was my equipment. That's why it worked.
I mean, Vic,
I like that one. That's an A.
okay, that's his first A of the night.
Yeah.
So he might not make the honor roll tonight.
I might be coasting this.
Well, because
one.
waves take, at least sound waves travel better underwater, right?
Sound waves do
Dude,
because it's denser. The moisture is closer together than air.
Oh, that's interesting.
The water molecules. But yeah, so I mean, moisture. So when you microwave something, what it's doing is it's causing the moisture in your food to vibrate real quick, and then that vibration causes friction and heat, and that's what heats up your food. So it's like kind of the same thing, just through your skull.
Thanks for mansplaining a microwave.
Whatever. I guess this is just kind of.
Keep going. Only like 4 more.
Get out of here. All right, whatever. We can wrap.
No, I
we
want.
can wrap it up.
I want that.
Get my
Dog, I'm enjoying
pulling
it.
out the hook. Getting
No.
my walk off stage.
Absolutely not.
So I guess this is more just kind of crazy how much stuff costs compared to what it used to cost. So I'm sure you've seen like Motel 6 and Hotel Super 8, Motel 6. They got those names because that was the price of their room that night. Motel 6 was $6 rooms. Super 8 was slightly better because it had $8 rooms. Those are the original prices. So Motel 6 started at $6 in 1962. Super 8 was $8.88 in 1974.
Oh gosh.
So that's how much it. So the prices I just pulled through, a couple decades just to kind of see the rise and when they kind of started taking off. In the mid to late 1950s, blah blah blah. They usually charged anywhere from $12 to $14 a night, and in the 70s it went up to about $19.83. And then in the 2000s, they showed that most hotels jumped up to $120 a night.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Even a shitty motel is a lot of money these days.
And now we got obviously, the Airbnbs and stuff, so it's a little bit different.
But then you're wondering, all right, are there cameras
They
watching
all
me
have
masturbate right now?
Totally, they all have cameras, right? That's if you stay at an Airbnb, you have to know you're being spied on.
So if you're tugging it, Beckett, just know you give them a show.
I think I get a discount.
I think, I just think that Airbnbs kind of creep me out.
There's
man.
got to be
They do.
there's got to be laws. There's obviously laws.
Oh, there is,
against that.
but think about it. It's their property, so they know every little nook and cranny of that area. And the way you can do secret cameras now, there could be 19 secret cameras in this room. One in that dinosaur's
in a
eye.
pen.
Yeah, it could be in
Somebody
a
just
pen.
sets it.
These
You're right. Nowadays, it could be.
And not even kidding you, they showed a sting operation they did trying to catch a sex offender or a scammer. It was one of those Inside Editions, and they used all kinds of secret cameras. And you know what? It was actually a story about Airbnb and how they do it. They had like 19 or 20 cameras in there from every angle you could imagine, as if you were a director in the editing room, cutting it. And so if you're having sex with your partner, they had 19 angles of all this going on. And a couple did have that happen. FBI agent had to go to their door, let them know 6 months after they were in this Airbnb, say, you guys are part of a crime and you guys need to know that you're on this video and we were doing an investigation.
Yeah.
Could you imagine knowing that was out there and you and your significant other got videotaped?
It's rough because it could have
Be
always
pissed,
happened all through history, but I feel like surveillance cameras have gotten so small now you can't even find them.
It's happened in hotels though. I mean, Aaron Andrews had it.
I know they've had 'em
Yeah,
in
but it's
hotels.
all you're a fucking perv.
I just feel like hotels, there's still just somebody you can call and complain to. Like Airbnb, it's so renegade.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? There's just no follow up with it.
You gotta let them know. And I'm talking about, people find them in the bathroom, in the shower,
Yeah,
all
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
I'm talking creepo stuff. I get you gotta.
Like, why is this place so cheap?
Yeah. How did I get this place?
I don't know. And maybe I'm living in La La Land. Maybe every hotel I've been in, there's cameras in there too. Beckett don't care. Radcock Beckett doesn't care over here. Because who cares, man?
I mean, I care, but
I mean, there were always they always talked about it, especially like the mirrors being two-way mirrors. Like that's been something that people
I
talked
always
about for years and
cut
years and
my-
years. They always said if you go in, you cover up the mirror just in case.
Or
Gosh.
if you cup over it, you can see if it's two-way or not.
Yeah.
Well, then the person could argue, well, I'm only just putting cameras to secure my house. I mean, do you have to let people know that you have cameras in the house if you're doing an Airbnb?
it's a great question.
Oh, our research guy is here.
So while you look that up real quick, I just thought this was kind of cool. So the world's first motel was opened in California in 1925. That was, 100 years ago. It's not even that long ago. And the price of that hotel room or motel room was $125. Think about how much difference that is.
Yeah, Denny's. It's
Only 100 years. It's crazy.
I do feel like when you're talking about 70s motels, I mean, just the unspeakable things that happened in a 70s
Oh
motel.
my gosh.
If motels could talk. I feel like for some reason, the 70s were just a real seedy decade.
If motels could cry.
Yes. What do you got there, Beckett?
So it's definitely against Airbnb. Their policy is all security cameras or recording devices must be disclosed in the listing. Indoor cameras are highly restricted. Cameras are never allowed in private spaces such as bedrooms and bathrooms. That to be clearly disclosed.
Yeah.
Consequences are guest cancellations and refunds, removal or listing. So I asked if there's any laws against it. Yes, both Airbnb and Texas state laws impose strict regulation use of cameras. So I guess it's all state law.
God, it's like individually governed.
Yeah.
It's got to be. There's no follow through. At a hotel, you could yell at somebody.
I like how Texas is the first one that comes up.
Texas,
Don't
yeah.
fuck around with Texas.
Protect my privacy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it sounds like it is illegal then. If you're doing the wild thing and it's being recorded.
Oh yeah.
So Florida state law, indoor surveillance. Landlords are prohibited from installing cameras in rental units, especially in areas where tenants have reasonable expectation of privacy, even recording.
So I live down the road.
Legal penalties violating Florida's security camera or privacy laws can result in fines up to $5,000, imprisonment for up to 5 years, and civil lawsuits for invasion of privacy.
Yeah, I mean it should be.
Okay,
Wow.
so random question, asking for a friend. So if you're dating somebody and they have cameras in their house, it's their own personal property, and you go over there and you
Act a fool. Or
was looking kind of cute on camera. What?
Tan and sassy.
Yeah. So I mean, Is there
I
any...
mean, do they have to disclose that they have cameras in your house?
I think you're allowed to have your own private security, and I don't think you have to.
Well, let me give you a
You
hypothetical.
probably tell guests, right?
I think hashtag be cool, but we're talking if this goes to court, what is the law? If I had cameras in here and I didn't tell you guys about that, would I have to disclose that for anyone that walks?
We have
through?
4.
Well, you're being on camera. Objection, Your Honor.
Non-consensual.
Dr. Beckett's making a dick face.
Well, for example, I have Ring cameras, right? Like I have one on my driveway, one on my doorbell. But where I have my dog's crates, as I'm crate training them, I have what I call the dog cam, right? So it's just a little Ring camera that I have, whatever. But to Vicky's point, the side of my couch is in that frame, right? So if something were to happen on the couch, am I in trouble? Like, do you have to disclose?
That's a
like,
great.
Yeah.
No, that's a great question, and I don't know the rule. I'm sure that we can get for next week. We'll get the ruling on that. Yeah, you're right. If you have cameras in your house, because people are allowed to have cameras in their house.
Yeah, it's like it's pointed right on the dogs, but like on the side of the frame.
Well, that's how people
and then
get.
something happens spontaneously.
Though that's how people get out of getting in trouble because they have the footage to say this is how it really happened in my with my. That's a great question. Yeah. Let's say if it's a one-night stand and you bring somebody home and there's cameras all throughout the house, do you have to disclose
Well,
that?
at a certain point, maybe you need to wear a body cam. Like police officers, if you're going to get accused or something, you're going to be like, hey, I'm wearing a body cam. And
what if in the future everyone just always records everything they're doing at all times?
100%.
Dude, that's what's happening.
But I mean, like, it does it automatically. Like, it's like you just always are being recorded by yourself.
It is so funny. Every video I see now, as soon as there's an altercation on the video, everyone just pulls out the phones as if they're guns. You're gonna film me? Well, fuck you! I'm filming you now. and usually the second person who starts to film is already so mad, and you can tell they haven't even hit record because you can see it on the screen because they're so irate.
They're like, oh, you're fucked, and they hold it right in their face.
Exactly.
It's pretty wild. You'll see 5 or 6 people all stand around filming something.
Someone's getting stabbed in the middle of the gas station. There's just 7 people filming. Oh man, this is terrible. Someone call 911. I'm filming.
Hey, we've used it at school because the school cameras didn't get it, but on the school camera we saw the kids that had their phones out filming it. So then they were able to take those kids' phones in order to identify the people that were involved in the fight.
What was it? A big fight?
Oh. Yeah, that one particular one was
This
bad.
is at school?
Yeah, it was a bad one.
Bad one. That's got to be scary, man. Kids are strong.
How bad could it be? It's pretty young kids. Pretty young kids, right?
No, I'm middle school.
Middle school's the worst, man. Middle schoolers scare the shit out of me.
They are the scariest.
Because they're children of the corn. They'll follow Malachi into the cornfield. I know a lot of people don't get that reference.
That just gave me a throwback. I remember in middle school, at Boca Middle, on the public school bus, they just like in 7th grade, they put cameras on there and they had this box that was on the top and it was like a 2-way mirror and it was like cutting edge technology and they recorded all of us because there were so many incidents, I guess, in public schools on the buses and fights and drugs and whatever. So like that was like the Uber camera before the Uber camera.
Oh, I'm not saying that there's not some crabby bus drivers out there, but there are some mean ass kids that are so mean to nice bus drivers.
Oh,
and I hate seeing it, especially if they're older and they're just trying to drive around.
That's most of them.
And the kids are just acting a fool and being a dick
100%.
to this old person who's just trying to get. They're doing something.
Dude, we were in the bus riding. I sat maybe like 5 or 6 rows from the very
That's
end.
how you know what kind of kid you are. I was front of the bus.
Were you?
The cool kids were back of the bus, right?
See,
I was the nerd in the front.
I was middle back.
Yeah, you're
I didn't want to
middle.
be because the kids in
You
the
strike
back
me
were,
as a middle guy.
well, they were ruffians.
Ask me where I sat.
You're back.
I wasn't allowed to go on the bus with my mom, but they were always going to crash.
Well, so
true.
they ripped the final seat of the bus out, like unhinged it, and then they opened the emergency exit and they threw it out into traffic while we were driving. And then they complained that our bus driver was a bitch, and I was like, dude,
That is
I was like,
insane.
you guys are psychopaths.
That's next level
Like a
insanity.
Insane war.
See, our bus drivers don't play. They pull out of our campus and somebody causes something, they're coming right back around.
They should be able to tase them.
They, I mean, there should be something, but that'll get abused.
Well, back in the day, man,
The ruler?
especially when it started to end when I would say, second, third grade, where teachers were hitting kids. It started to really, and I would say this is like 1983, 84. People started to say, all right, you can't be hitting kids like this. But when my brother was younger, man, they did not give a shit. They would paddle the fuck out of you.
Yeah.
They would smack your knuckles. They'd slap you across the, I mean, they did not give a shit back in the 70s and early 80s.
No.
And then you'd walk by the teacher's lounge, and they're all just chain smoking.
Yeah.
Just, I mean.
Different times.
I hate kids. I hate kids. I hate kids. I mean, that's what it looks like.
See, I went to elementary school in the 70s, and a teacher wasn't allowed to touch you, but you could be sent to the principal to be paddled. So the teachers didn't have, that would have been great, but the teachers did not have the power to do it themselves. You had to go to the principal.
The problem with anything is someone abuses the privilege, right? Like, it's one thing to, like, give a little slap, but then there's some asshole that, like, you know, goes too far, and then, like, you can't do it anymore. You know? It's like, if you can't reason with the kid, don't run in traffic. You give them a little slap on the butt, you know? It's like, you know, I don't know.
And I think not every school was like that. I think it depends on who is in charge, who is running the school.
It was a Palm Beach County School District thing. Most of the time when, like, you get the ones where you're getting hit with rulers and stuff, that was usually Catholic schools.
I'm just saying it happened in public schools back in the day. I mean, it definitely did happen. I mean, it might not happen at your school.
How old is your brother?
I don't want to go into too many. He's I don't want to go into that, but yeah, there was definitely stories of public school. There was a girl that peed her pants, and she wanted to go to the bathroom. This is a second grader. She peed her pants, and the teacher yelled at her in front of the entire class.
Oh, that's bad.
There's pee on the ground, and she makes the little girl wipe it all up with the trash from the waste. I mean, that was out of public school. That's a real story.
That's one of those horrible things. Like,
yeah. But I think back then, shit like that you could get away with it. That would be a national story now.
Yeah.
Oh,
the nuns were infamous in the Catholic school.
They were.
Oh man,
hitting the knuckles.
They don't play.
I heard some horror stories because my mom and Aunt Ann went to some nun school and
Catholic school was rough.
Like you're saying, they love the knuckles.
Yeah.
Man, we had a girl in second grade. She peed in class, and her name was Maya. And there was a TV show called Maya the Bee. And my teacher came up with the phrase. He's like, "Oh, Maya the Pea."
Oh God.
That's what I was like. Damn, our teacher's calling her out.
Oh jeez.
We had a teacher also who I guess at our school you were allowed to smoke if you were a teacher in the parking lot. And his classroom was the last one that led to the parking lot. So he would open the door during tests, by the way, and he'd hold it with his foot, and he'd stretch as far as he could, and he'd smoke cigarettes with one foot in the parking lot.
What a legend.
Dude,
I mean,
oh, Martin County.
Martin County. You got to love it. So great job with your facts, Mr. Denny's. I thought that was amazing. Let's get some, I know we're running out of time here. Time to get some Tech It with Dr. Beckett. Dr. Beckett tells us what we need to know in the world of technology.
I will be quick and efficient because I know I was tardy and we're slow on time. So I don't know if you guys talk about this on the morning show, but I thought it was fascinating. Do you guys talk about that story in Greece where the girl divorced her husband vis-a-vis AI? You guys heard about that?
I just heard so much about Diddy today.
Okay. So this is different.
All right.
So this lady, she was married to a guy and was in Greece. It became a court case. So there's something called tassography. It's a traditional practice of patterns in coffee grounds.
All right. Yeah, all right.
I'd never heard of it before.
Is that where they read, people use coffee grounds to read like fortunes and such?
Yes, exactly. Right. Yeah, I'd never heard the word before. So the woman took photos of her husband's coffee cups and asked ChatGPT to analyze them. The AI's interpretation suggested that her husband was involved with a younger woman, even identifying her initials starting with the letter E. Claimed it was destined to start a relationship with her. So we were talking about Minority Report.
Oh, yeah.
This was a
premonition from AI.
Pre-crime.
Pre-crime.
Despite the husband's insistence that the interpretation was nonsensical, his wife took it seriously, asked him to leave, informed the children about the divorce, and initiated legal proceedings. The husband appeared on Greek television and expressed disbelief of the situation.
He's like, I can't believe this is happening.
His lawyer emphasized that AI-generated interpretations have no legal standing because I guess, different municipalities, irreconcilable differences. Like it's a legal proceeding. So she is citing that. So then she really believes it. So they're saying it has no legal standing that you are doing foreshadowing, premonition with AI.
Yeah,
new case.
Yeah, and robots aren't going to mess up humanity.
No,
it's not all going to blur out any kind of lines.
Because you guys have heard in the meta universe they have sexual assault cases now, right? Where someone like sexually harassed, whatever.
In
like
the metasphere,
it's a whole new legal arena.
Sexually harassed, or how would you sexually assault somebody in the meta world?
Well, there's verbal assault, like right. Battery is actually like touching,
physical.
Right? I'm sorry, I'm not that familiar of that world. So if you're in that world, I can see you saying something to somebody.
Yeah, you would have an avatar in a virtual space walk up and be like, "Yo, you're a bitch."
Gotcha. And then the avatar would slap somebody, and then you could get them for assault.
Yeah, but even if there wasn't, then whatever, you like verbally assault someone.
Yeah, because I mean that's still, to me, you're still you're saying nasty shit to somebody.
Provoking someone. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so it's become a global debate about the role of AI in personal relationships, because I posted this recently. I'll post it on the Weird and Whatever Instagram as well. It has shifted. It was it was farther down on the chart, but now it's number one. Number one use case for AI, therapy.
I'm about to endorse online therapy. I just signed a deal with it. I really liked what they had to say, and I think I am going to be doing something with it, because not everyone can go and sit down with somebody.
It's super expensive, and it's crazy.
You do wonder if you're just able to talk to somebody, no matter if it's face to face or through technology. I mean, to me, good advice is good advice.
That's right.
A great phone call from a loved one can change your day.
Well, not to pull the card, but I just graduated. Any good research like triangulates
we saw the video.
Different sources.
Wait, you graduated?
I just graduated.
Wait a minute.
I just graduated.
I did not get the
I just
memo.
graduated.
Everybody up in Orlando this week.
Let me live it a little bit. So, but you gotta have. You can't just have one source, right? Like the more sources you have, the better. So we've talked about it before. It's great to have your friend give you advice. It's great to have your parents give you advice. Your coworkers give you advice. But you take everything, as Vicky says, with a grain of salt, right? And your friend's gonna have your back. You're gonna have bias. Mm-hmm. One of the things that and I would just look at this as another data point. When you're talking to ChatGPT, what I have found is I'm like, I want to send this text, or I'm pissed off about this. And it's like, well, if you want to take the high road, and in my opinion, I'm sure there's bias and whatever. It's just another data point, and it usually answers in a way that I'm like, oh yeah, that's way more level-headed. That makes a lot of sense. That's something I would have paid $400 in a therapy session. It was
give you different perspective.
$19 a month.
Yeah, I've seen people on Reddit posting that out of people who are depressed, having the companion to speak to has helped their depression.
Well, I think people do need people, even if you're alone, or even if you're the Unabomber, Ted Kaczynski. At one point, he needed people, and then he finally broke and became the Unabomber.
Yeah.
But I mean, people do. Even a loner needs a person in their life. Every now and then you'll go stir crazy. You turn into The Shining. I think it's built in our DNA. Now, I think there's some people who are more of a people person, and I think there are more people that like to be a lone wolf. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, I think it's in our DNA that you do need a little bit of human contact.
100%. And I'll finish my segment with this. Mark Zuckerberg even said that. He made a comment that sure, it can give companionship, but nothing will replace like those close friendships. And humans, like we talked about, we're like dogs, we're like horses, we're pack animals. What's the worst punishment we've talked about that you can do physically or mentally to a human? It's solitary confinement.
Throw them in the alligator
right?
pit.
And I think like a Venn diagram, like there are probably some erosions and some replacements, and some people unfortunately will probably take it too far in companionship, like Joaquin Phoenix in the movie Her. But nothing's going to replace face-to-face. Like we talked about it, like our experience on the podcast during COVID. Part of it was technology, but us looking at each other in the face and having a JMO together, like it's important.
And I agree. I do think we're in a different kind of situation than kids growing up today. They're gonna just they're growing up in technology, and I just do fear, and I'll get off my soapbox after this, I just fear in the future we're going to, the more connected we get to technology, the less connected we will be as a species. And I see you nodding, Vicky, and I like when people agree with me, so you have the microphone now.
No, I agree. We have to, or else we are just isolating. We become the Unabomber. Yes. Because we just don't have that connection with people. We don't have that physical connection.
I mean, look, I talk a lot of shit about technology. I understand we need technology. It's not going anywhere. I just think that there's always going to be a percentage of people that are going to use it in a bad way. And I think it's spiritually, possibly, you know, I think there's a spiritual depletion with people across the globe sometimes with technology. And I want to be wrong about that.
I think it's 50-50. I used to be more optimistic, but I'm going more negative and pessimistic, 50-50. Because I'm going to that equal and opposite reaction.
Yeah, look, I don't want AI to destroy and replace us, Denny's. I don't want that. But, all right, guys, thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, I just don't think humans are responsible.
Thanks for tuning in to the Weird and Whatever podcast. If you guys don't mind, I hate doing this is where we have to whore ourselves out a bit.
Let's do it.
When this video uploads, if you don't mind, throw a comment down there. Even if you're in the chat room,
Give us a thumb.
Yeah, the chat room.
some
the
thumbs.
comments are great, but they don't really do anything until this thing populates. Unfortunately, so we would appreciate that. If not, we get that too. Thank you guys. We love you all, and
Bigfoot is real.